in Dhamma talk. That is when sounds are not heard, defilements cease by themselves. So it is a way to remove our mental defilements. Going to the retreat to restrain our ear. So can you follow me? When sounds are not heard, defilements cease by themselves. When sounds are not heard, defilements cease by themselves. Number 2, when sounds are heard, defilements that lie dormant can arise. When sounds are heard, defilements that lie dormant can arise. So sometimes good things we really enjoy, and bad things we don't like, we get angry, etc. Defilements can arise. When sounds are heard, desirable or undesirable. So Buddha instruction is to note hearing. So that is to capture the Namarupa precisely to remove our mental defilements. If the sound disappear, immediately there cannot arise any kilesa regarding the ear, regarding the sounds. So now you are noting hearing. Do you notice they disappear? If they disappear, defilements regarding the ear drum can be removed. Because when it disappears, we have no attachment, or we have no liking or disliking, etc. So number 3, regarding the sounds, can you follow me? Every time you note and observe hearing, the mass of defilements are being removed. Every time you note and observe hearing, the mass of defilements are being removed. So seeing, hearing, and then smelling. Buddha asks a question, and regarding the seva, Buddha asks a question. Tangible objects, Buddha asks a question, and the Dhamma. Those Dhamma cognizable by the mind, Dhamma which you have not cognized, which you have not cognized before, which you do not cognize now, or which you have no expectation that you will cognize. Do you have desire, lust or fondness for them? Malunkyaputta, Buddha asked, and Malunkyaputta answered, no hitam bande. Surely not bande, he answered. So Buddha went through these 6 questions. First, with regard to visible objects. Second, with sounds. Third, with smell. Fourth, the taste. And fifth, the tangible objects. And sixth is with regard to Dhamma objects. Here, the word Dhamma is difficult to translate. There's no one word in the English language which will cover the same things as covered by the word Dhamma. So it is better to keep the words Dhamma untranslated rather than have an inadequate translation. So what Dhamma means? Dhamma means all objects not directly seen, not directly heard, and so on. Even the visible objects in the past or in the future, and also mental things like Citta or Cetasika, consciousness and states of mind, and so on. These are all included in Dhamma. These are objects that are not directly perceived by the five senses, but that are perceived by the mind. With regard to these objects, there can be no desire, there can be no lust or fondness or anger, etc. for them, if they have not been experienced before, if they are not being experienced right at the moment, or if there is no expectation that they will be experienced in the future. With regard to these, there can be no desire, lust or fondness or anger. Actually, there can be no greed, no hatred, no delusion, no jealousy for them. So with regard to this object, which had been experienced before, which we are experienced right now, or which we have the expectation that we will experience in the future, there can be desire, there can be lust, or there can be fondness. So the practice of meditation or vipassana meditation has to do with those that have been experienced before, those that are experienced right at the moment, and those that we have expectation that we will experience in the future. For these, we have to do something so that we do not have attachment or hatred or delusion with regard to these objects. So we have to come to the passage which is very famous, that means very popular, which is quoted by every meditation teacher, every energetic yogi, Buddha's guidelines. So the Buddha said, after these question and answer, the meditation guidelines to Malunkyaputta. Itate Malunkyaputta, Data Sutta Mutta Vinyate Sutta Mesu, Date Data Matam Boisati, Sute Sutyamatam Boisati, Mute Mutamatam Boisati, Vinyate Vinyatamatam Boisati. Buddha gave meditation instruction to Malunkyaputta. That means Malunkyaputta, herein of those things seen, heard, reached, and cognized, in what is seen, there will be only the seen. In what is heard, there will be only the heard. In what is reached, there will be only the reached. In what is cognized, there will be only the cognized. So date, datamatam, sute, sutamatam, Mute Mutamatam Vinyate Vinyatamatam Bhavisati, that is original Pali words. Yogi need to remember. Can you follow me? Dete Detamadam Dete Detamadam Sute Sudamadam Sute Sudamadam Mute Mudamadam Mute Mudamadam Vinyate Vinyatamadam Vinyate Vinyatamadam. So only just Buddha gave the instruction in 4 things: data, sutta, mutta, and vinyata. So data, regarding the data, what is seen, there will be only the seen. In what is heard, there will be only the heard. For sutta, for mutta, in what is reached, there will be only the reached. Vinyate, in what is cognized, there will be only the cognized. So this is very short statement, very short instruction, but it is very important. It describes in essence the practice of vipassana meditation. So Buddha said things seen, heard, reached, and cognized. Only 4 things: data, sutta, mutta, vinyata. So when he asks question, he asks about 6 kinds of objects: visible objects, audible objects, and so on. But when describing the practice of vipassana, Buddha used only 4 words or 4 expressions: data, sutta, mutta, vinyata, seen, heard, reached, and cognized. Here the word reach is the translation of the Pali words mutta. This word mutta has been translated in English translation as imagined. It may not be correct. Here, things that are reached means the smell, the taste, and the touch, or tangible objects. In Buddhist Abhidhamma, there is a saying that the eyes sensitivity, retina, and the eardrum take these objects. Before the objects reach them, now your retina, your eye sensitivity is very clear. Now you see the suns and moon very clearly. The suns and moon can not necessarily reach your eye sensitivity. They are very far. So Buddha used only just data. Now your eardrums is very clear, and then you hear the sounds very far. Very far, far sound you can hear. So Buddha used data and sutta. But nose, the tongue, and the body. The nose, the tongue, and the body take the objects when they reach your nose, when they reach your tongue, when they reach your body, or after they reach your nose, tongue, and body. So that is different. When the objects reach your nose, tongue, and body, you smell, you taste, and you touch. If they not reach, you don't smell, you don't taste, you don't touch. The smell have to reach your nostril organ, and the food must reach your tongue, and something must be touched your body. So Buddha used nose, tongue, and body in one group. So that means they take them when these objects come into physical contact with these senses. So these three, the smell, the taste, and the touch are called those that are reached, mutta in Pali. So in the commentary, the Pali was mutta is explained as that which is touched and that which is reached. So to translate it as imagine is quite incorrect. If we were to translate it as imagine, it would be difficult to explain when we come to those that are cognized. So these objects are not imagined objects, they are objects which come into physical contact with the senses. So it should be translated as reach. Mutta should be translated as reached or maybe even touched. But touch may mean only the tangible things. So reached is the best translation of the words for mutta. So of those things seen, heard, reached, and cognized in what is seen, there will be only the seen. With regard to seeing, let there be seeing. The Pali words are dete, detamatam. Let there be seeing with regard to what is seeing. That means when you see something, you must stop at what is seen. That means you must not put any value on seeing. You must not put any color to the seeing or anything added to it. Like when you see visible objects, you take it to be beautiful or ugly, or you take it to be permanent, you take it to be satisfactory, or you take it to be substantial, and so on. So if you do not take the visual objects as permanent or good or substantial, and you just stop at what is seen, then you are said to be observing that visible objects correctly. In what is seen, that means with regard to what is seen, there will be only the seen, only just data. Now the commentary explains this statement in three different ways. The first explanation is just as translated here. in what is seen, there will be only the seen, only the objects which is seen, and no other coloring or whatever on that object. And there is another explanation. According to that explanation, data, the seeing really means seeing consciousness. When we see something, there is consciousness in our minds. With that mind, we are said to see. That seeing consciousness is here called the seeing data. What is meant here is with regard to what is seen, there must be only the seen. There will be the measure of seeing consciousness and nothing more, or there will be the impulsion stage, which has the same quality or the same nature as the seeing consciousness. Now, it is not easy to understand. We need a little knowledge of Abhidhamma in order to understand it. So let us see what seeing is or what seeing involves. Under normal circumstances, we see things, we always see things. We are so used to seeing things that we think that seeing is a very simple thing, a very simple process. We just see something and that is all there is to it. However, if we watch seeing closely, if we apply real keen mindfulness to the process of seeing, we will see that it is not so simple. It is a complicated process. There are different moments in what we call seeing. According to Buddhist Abhidhamma, there is a kind of mental state or mental activities which is called bhavinga. Let us call it inactive consciousness. This inactive consciousness is like a flow of water. It goes on and on and on all during our lives. This inactive consciousness takes a certain kinds of objects. We call it an obscure object. It is an object that is taken by the thought moments immediately before the death moment in the previous life. So this inactive consciousness, bhavinga citta, taking the objects which is taken by the citta, consciousness, immediately preceding the death moment in the preceding life, goes on and on and on. So they do not take any fresh objects in this life, like visible objects, audible objects, and so on. That is bhavinga citta, life continuum. So when a visible object comes into the avenue of the eye sensitivity, and as we say, when visible objects strikes at the eye sensitivity, the flow of inactive consciousness is disturbed. You You have a paper, the complete eye door process, page number 3. You can page number 3, complete eye door process. So visible objects comes into the avenue of the eye sensitivity, or as we say, when a visible object strikes at the eye sensitivity, the flow of inactive consciousness is disturbed. So when it is disturbed, it vibrates or it is shaken. How many shake? 3 shake. After 3 moments, it ceases. In its place, there arises another kinds of consciousness and active consciousness. You see, the before number 1, streams of Bhuvenga, life continuum, and number 1 is past Bhuvenga, Theta Bhuvenga, vibrational Bhuvenga, and number 3, arrest Bhuvenga. So 3 times. Past Bhuvenga, vibrational Bhuvenga, and arrest Bhuvenga. 3 times shakes, and after 3 moments it ceases, and in its place there arises another kinds of consciousness, active consciousness. So at that moment, your mind turns towards the present object. The mind turns towards the active series of consciousness. That moment is just called turning moment. That is Pinchadwara Vijana adverting. Number 3, adverting is number 4. 5 door adverting, that is Pinchadwara Vijana. Number 5, turning moment. So after the turning moment, there comes seeing consciousness. Chaku Vijnana is number 5, eye consciousness. So that seeing consciousness is a very weak consciousness. It is very superficial seeing, just seeing the visible objects and nothing more. After the seeing moment disappears, there is another moment, the receiving moment. Receiving moment number 6, that is Sambhadechana in Pali, receiving. So receiving moment, that means the mind receives the objects presented to it. After it has been seen, after the receiving moments comes the moments of investigation, investigating consciousness number 7. So in these moments, the object is investigated as to whether it is desirable object or undesirable objects, is investigate as to whether it is an agreeable or disagreeable or neutral object. So after the investigation comes the determining moment. So at this moment, the object is determined as agreeable or disagreeable or neutral. So coming is very near to arise kilesa. Determining consciousness number 8. So once the object is determined, there follow moments of real experiencing of the object. So these moments are said to run for 7 times. So Javana is real experiencing impulsion. Number 9 to 15, 7 times. Moments are set to run, is running 7 times under normal condition. So these moments are the most active. They are the productive moments, though these moments can be accompanied by either attachment or lust or craving, or they can be accompanied by anger or hatred, or aversion, and also delusion. So mostly they are come akusala, unwholesome, attachment, anger, depression, and delusion. But if the person have yonisamanasikara, he tried to, his mind inclined to wholesome state. Wholesome state. That means faith in the Buddha, generosity and compassion, loving kindness, etc. So due to your manasikara, sometimes yoniso manasikara, you have wholesome javana. If ayoniso manasikara, unwise reflection, there will come unwholesome javana. So number 9 to 15. So after these very active moments of thoughts, javana, active moments of consciousness, number 16 and 17 is registration, Tata Ramana. So 2 moments takes the objects taken by the active moments preceding them. These are called registrations or Tata Ramana. Then the inactive consciousness arise again. That is after number 7, streams of Bhuvinga, life continuum. So inactive consciousness arise again, or the process or the series of consciousness lapse into inactive consciousness again. So that is the thought process that arises when you see something. It is unbelievable that there could be so many moments in just an act of seeing. If we look at some other things like reading a word, let's say, we can understand that there is multiplicity of events taking place in a single act of seeing. Suppose you read a word like Dhamma, D-H-A-M-M-A, Dhamma. If you read, how long does it take you to read the word Dhamma? 30 seconds or 10 seconds or 1 second? No, not even 1 second. As soon as you see the word, you can say it, you can say Dhamma. But in order to see the word, you have to see the individual letters one by one. There are 6 letters in the word Dhamma. You have to see these 6 letters one by one. It is said that in order to see one letter, you need at least 4 or 5 thought processes, 4 or 5 kinds of thought processes. And according to them, your eyes need to move 2 times in order to see one letter. So seeing one letter involves do movements of the eyes or 4 or 5 kinds of thought processing. So you know how long it takes you to see the letter D in the word Dhamma. Then you combine these 6 letters into a word. You combine letters into syllables. DHAM, 1 syllable, and MA is 1 syllable. Then you have to remember something you have learned in the past. DHAM is the sounds dam, ma is the sound ma, and so on. Only after thinking of all this, you combine all these syllables into 1 unit. Then you say Dhamma. In order to read the word Dhamma, you need a lot of mental activities. You are so used to reading words or reading books that you don't even think of all these things. You just say Dhamma when you see the words Dhamma. So in the same way, when seeing something, your mind is greatly absorbed in the different moments. These moments cannot be seen by ordinary people because they are so small, so short, and so subtle. But the mind of the Buddha, all-knowing Buddha, can see all these. So Buddha described these moments so that we understand that there are all these moments involved in just one single act of seeing. Now what is meant by in what is seen, there will be only the seen, data matam. After seeing, if you can stop at the Ottapana, that is determining moment, and not go over to the Javana, impulsion moment, the moments of really experiencing the objects, that is the best. So the best things is the best things to do is stop at the Ottapana, determining moments, and there may be 2 or 3 determining moments, and not get into taking that objects as permanent, substantial, and so on. So it is possible to stop at such a very small, short moment and not let it run until the end of the process. It is unbelievable, but it is possible. It is possible only through your constant applications of mindfulness. When your mindfulness, concentration, and understanding or wisdom mature, then you will be able to stop at the moments of Ottapana, determining state, and not go over to what is called Javana, impulsion stage. Now let us take an analogy. Suppose a wheel is running or revolving 300 rounds a minute. Is it possible to stop that wheel at the 50th rounds or the 60th round or 100th round? It is possible, although it is very difficult. If we have the necessary devices to make it stop at the 50th round, then it will stop at the 50th round. That is possible, although it is very, very difficult. In the same way, these thoughts moments run very fast, so fast that it is almost imperceptible. So it is said that these thought moments run more than 1 billion times in a second. But with the instruments of mindfulness, concentration, and understanding the true nature, yogi will be able to stop at the Votapana, determining moments, and not go over to the Javana moments, that is impulsion stage. So when Buddha gave meditation instruction, Dete Detamatam, there will only be the scene. Buddha meant that yogi should stop at just the moment of Votapana, determination. And what happened? If we cannot stop there, there will be the Javana moments, impulsion moment. There will be the most productive moments. There may be either wholesome or unwholesome mental states due to your mental inclination. Yoniso manasikara will lead you wholesome javana. Yoniso manasikara wise reflection. Ayoniso manasikara unwise reflection will lead you unwholesome javana, unwholesome mental states. So these wholesome or unwholesome mental states are very weak, and so they cannot give many results. If we cannot stop there, then there we follow another mental process, another thought process. So teacher remind the yogi, because we try to think, we try to recollect the past episode. It is like a cow chew the cud. So teacher reminded the yogi, because if we cannot stop there we follow another mental process, that is manodvaraviti, another thought process. So people always go back to what they have seen, what they have experienced. They experience episode, they recollect. And the next moment or the next phase, let us call the recollecting phase. During the recollecting phase, our mind takes the objects which has just been seen, which has disappeared from the avenue of our eyes, but which we can take by our mind. So the next phase, the recollecting phase, takes the objects which has just gone out of existence. If we cannot stop at the first thought process, Manodara Viti, we may be able to stop at the second thought process. So this second thought process does not arise through the five senses, but through the mind door Manodara. If we can stop at the second thought process, it is stay good, because that thought process takes the objects which is reality, paramattha. It is not a concept yet, it is not piñati yet. After taking the objects and experience it, if we can stop there and not go to the later phases, it is stay good. We not have either attachment or anger or hatred or depression with regard to that objects which we have seen. And if we cannot stop at the second, we will go over to the third phase. So during the third phase, we begin to see not reality, but the concept. We begin to see things, we begin to see a being, we begin to see a man or woman. And during the first phase or the second phase, what we see is just the visible objects, just the rupa. We cannot say that we see things or we see the beings or we see the man or woman. We cannot say, because only just you see rupa, visible objects. But during the third phase, we come to see man, we come to see woman, we come to see things. So when we see the concepts, these are concepts, not reality. We come to have liking or disliking about these things, desirable and undesirable. So we acquire the wholesome or unwholesome mental state at that moment. After coming to the third phase, we go over to the fourth stage. We think of the names of those concepts. At the third phase, we just see the man or woman, but the word man or woman. We can say, I see a man, I see a woman, I see a things, and so on. But at the third stage, we think of the names of these concepts. So at least there are these four thought processes or four thought phases of thoughts arising one after the other when we see something. We have been seeing things and we have been taking them at the conceptual stage for so long that it is almost impossible for us to stop at the end of first process or at the end of second process. We almost always run over into the third and fourth phases. That is why we cannot see under normal circumstances when we are not meditating. We cannot see things as they really are. We always see conceptual things as they appear to us, but not as they really are. So in order to see things as they really are, what we have to do, we have to apply mindfulness, we have to apply concentration, we have to apply understanding with diligence, with singleness of purpose. So we have to explain more about that kinds of witty process. We have to stop our discourse for today by practicing vipassana meditation, by following the instructions of Dete Detamatam. Let there be seeing with regard to what is seeing. Let there be hearing with regard to what is hearing. Let there be reaching with regard to what is reaching. Let there be cognizing with regard to cognize. By practicing, by noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching, continuously and meticulously, may all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. We have to recite Mahasatipatthana Odessa Pali. Ekayano ayam bhikkhave Mego Sadanam Visodiyam Sogabari Devanam Samadegamayam Doga Domanasanam Atingamayam Yayasa Adigamayam Nibanasa Sajikiriyayam Yadidam Jadaram Sadivadana Kadame Jadaram Ida Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Gaye Yanubasi Viharati Adabi Sambhajana Tima Vinayam Loke Abhija Domanasam Vedanasu Vedananubasi Viharati Adabi Sambhajanam Sadima Vinayam Loke Abhija Domanasam Jete Chaitanubasi Viharati Adabi Sambhajanam Sadima Vinayam Loke Avijja domanasam Dhammesu Dhammanubhasi Viharati Adapi Sambhajano Satima Vinayam Loke Abhijja Domanasam. English translation. This is the only way, bhikkhus, the purifications of beings for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for reaching the noble path, for the realizations of nirvana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. Here is the teaching, bhikkhus. Bhikkhus dress contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, removing desire and discontent in the world. Bhikkhus dress contemplating the feeling in the feelings, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, removing desire and discontent in the world. Bhikkhus dress contemplating the consciousness in the consciousness, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful, removing desire and discontent in the world. Thus, contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhamma, clearly comprehending and mindful, removing desire and discontent in the world. Honoring and sharing merits. Imayam Dhammanu Dhamma Bhatti Bhattiyam Bodham Bhujemi Imayam Dhammanu Dhamma Bhatti Bhattiyam Dhammam Bhujemi Mayam Dhammanu Dhamma Bhatti Bhattiyam Sangham Bhujemi Imayam Dhammanu Dhamma Bhatti Bhattiyam Madhavidaram Pujemi Imayam Dhammanu Dhamma Bhatti Bhattiyam Acariye Pujemi Adaimaya Padivadaya Jaramaranama Parimojayasami Dhamme Bonyam Asavakayawaham Odu Idame Silam Megaphala Janasam Pajaya du Imano Punya Bhagam Sava Sadanam Demam Sabe Sadam Sukita Hondu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu